And so that will be done in the second class. Okay. So to start with, the tumors of the ovary, it arises ultimately from one of the three ovarian components. So what are these three ovarian components? Either it arises from the surface epithelium, germ cells, or the stroma of the ovary. So according to this only, the main classification is uh, तिमीहरू अनम्युट गर के अरे आई मिन म्युट गर त सबैजना आई एम हियरिङ द नोइजेस Okay, all of you mute yourself, right? So surface epithelium. So from this also the tumor can arise. The other is the germ cells and the stroma of the ovary. So according to the cell of origin only, the ovarian tumor has been classified into different types. Okay, so there is a classification which is called as WHO classification, just like other tumors. This WHO classification, it broadly classifies the ovarian tumor into 5 types. The first one is surface epithelial stromal tumors. Okay, so you have to know all these by heart. These, at least the classification. So the first one is surface epithelial stromal tumors. Second one is sex cord stromal tumors. Third one is germ cell tumor. Fourth is malignant, not otherwise specified. Okay, it's very rare and we hardly classify this type of tumor and we hardly come across this one. So just knowing the classification and its name is enough. And the fifth one is metastatic cancer. So what is metastatic cancer? It is not the primary ovarian tumor. Okay, so it is the tumor of some other organ, like it could be GI, lung, or anything, any other organ, but it is metastatizing to the ovary. So that is the metastatic carcinoma of the ovary. So the primary here is the non-ovarian tissue. Okay. So in the surface epithelial stromal tumors, you have again different types of tumors. The most common is serous tumor. You have mucinous tumor. I'll come back. Endometrioid, clear cell, transitional cell tumor, and epithelial stromal tumor. Okay, so can you remember these 6? In surface epithelial, you have serous tumor. Okay, you have mucinous, then you have endometrioid, you have clear cell, transitional, and epithelial stromal. Okay, so serous means a very thin fluid. Okay, normally also whenever you talk about the consistency of the fluid, serous means thin. So serous tumor here also, usually it appears like a cystic mass, and it is again classified into 3 types: benign, borderline, and malignant. So benign serous tumor, we named it as serous cyst adenoma. Adenoma. So whenever we add the suffix adenoma to any tumor, it is benign. Okay. So here also we can apply the same formula. Benign serous tumor is benign cyst adenoma. Then you have malignant counterpart, that is called as serous cyst adenocarcinoma, or simply you can call it as serous adenocarcinoma. Why adenocarcinoma? It is arising from the epithelial tissue. Okay. If you remember what we taught you in first year, any malignant tumor arising from the epithelium is carcinoma, isn't it? Mesenchymal tissue, it is sarcoma. So it is arising from the surface epithelium of the ovary. That's why malignant tumor is serous adenocarcinoma, or you can call it as serous cyst adenocarcinoma. And in between, you have borderline tumors. Okay, so they have features. So they have features combination of both benign and malignant, and they are termed as serous borderline tumor. Benign is called as benign cystadenoma, or to make it more precise, you can call it as benign mucinous cystadenoma. Malignant counterpart is called as mucinous cystadenocarcinoma. Okay. Again, in mucinous tumor also, they have a borderline tumor, and we call this one as mucinous borderline tumor. The third one is endometrioid tumor. Endometrioid tumor. Okay. It is not the tumor arising from the endometrium. It is the endometrioid tumor arising from the ovary. So here you have again benign, which is called as endometrioid cystadenoma. You have malignant, which is called as endometrioid adenocarcinoma. Okay. And again, you have borderline tumors, which is called as endometrioid borderline tumor. So here also you have three types of tumor under this endometrioid tumors. Okay. Then fourth one is clear cell tumor. In clear cell tumor also, you have benign, you have borderline and malignant clear cell adenocarcinoma. Okay. So in all these four tumors, you have either benign, you have borderline or malignant tumors. Then there is transitional cell tumor. So where is the transitional lining? Usually in the urinary tract, urinary bladder and all, right? We call it as urothelial tissue, urothelial epithelium. So transitional cell tumors, you have Brayner tumor, you have Brayner tumor of borderline malignancy and malignant Brayner tumor. Okay. Apart from these three, you have transitional cell carcinoma also, which very much look like transitional cell carcinoma of the urinary bladder. This transitional cell carcinoma is non-Brayner type. Okay. So in transitional cell carcinoma, you have four. Okay. Three is Brayner tumor, that is benign, borderline, and malignant. Then the fourth one is transitional cell carcinoma. In this transitional cell tumor, the epithelial component, okay, the epithelial component, they resemble very much like transitional cells. Okay, so you can see nest of these type of cells in the ovarian stroma. Then in the surface epithelium, the last type of the tumor is the epithelial stromal, combination of the epithelial and stromal, that is adenosarcoma and malignant mixed Mullerian tumor. These tumors are not as common as other tumor arising from the surface epithelium, okay? But if it arises at all, the prognosis is not very good in these tumor. So what you have in epithelial stromal tumor? You have adenocarcinoma combination. Adeno means epithelial origin, sarcoma means stromal origin, okay, mesenchymal. Then you have malignant mixed Mullerian tumor. Now this next classification according to WHO is sex cord stromal tumor. In sex cord stromal tumor, you have granulosa tumor, okay. You have fibromas. Typically, it shows that it is arising from the stromal tissue. You have fibromas. Then you have fibrothecomas and thecomas. So here, fibrothecoma is again a combination of fibroma and thecoma. Okay, both the component will be there. Fibrous as well as thecoma means lipid-containing cells. Then you have other tumors like Sertoli cell tumors, Leydig cell tumors, sex cord tumor with annular tubules, gynandroblastoma, and steroid or lipid cell tumors. Okay, at least you should be familiar with 4 or 5 different types of tumor under this sex cord stromal tumors. Is that clear? Now, the third one is the germ cell tumor, which is, let's say, a very common type of ovarian tumor. In this germ cell tumor, you have teratomas. Teratomas could be of different types. The most common is immature teratoma. Okay, the most common is immature. We'll be talking about this teratoma in the next class in detail. Then you have a mature teratoma. In mature, you have solid and cystic. Cystic mature teratoma is also called as dermoid cyst. Okay, clinician, they prefer this term, dermoid cyst for teratoma. Then the third one is monodermal teratoma. In monodermal, you have two examples. The first one is struma ovary. Struma ovary means like you have a teratoma component, but along with that, you have thyroid tissue also. Okay, so you can see the thyroid follicular cells, and very interestingly, sometime in these thyroid follicular cells, even the primary thyroid tumor can also arise. So that is very interesting part about the struma ovary. And the second example of this monodermal tumor is carcinoid. Just like carcinoid tumor in the GI, gastrointestinal tract, this carcinoid tumor can also occur in the GI epithelium in the teratoma. Okay. Uh, then you have dysgerminoma, yolk sac tumor, which is also called as endodermal sinus tumor. Yolk sac tumor, it is not in the syllabus in the theory, but I think there are slides for you in the practical. So when you come for practical, they'll talk about yolk sac tumor. Then you have another one is mixed cell germ cell tumor. Okay, so germ cell is also a very common type of tumor, very important. You have teratoma, dysgerminoma, and yolk sac tumor. Then malignant not otherwise specified. Okay, this is just for the classification. Not much is required at your level. Then the last one is metastatic carcinoma from non-ovarian primary. The non-ovarian primary could be anywhere. It can be colonic tumor, okay, CA colon or CA appendix, okay, stomach cancer, gastric carcinoma, or CA breast. So this figure I have taken from Robbins. Here you can see the various these ovarian tumors or the neoplasm, okay, arising from the ovarian tissue, different type of ovarian tissue. So the origin of the tissues here are basically surface epithelium, germ cell, and you have this one sex cord stromal. Okay, so here you can see that surface epithelial cell tumors, they are very common. The frequency is almost 65 to 70%. Okay, out of 100, almost 70% of the ovarian tumor ki ho surface epithelial. Okay, which is the second common? Second common is the germ cell tumor. Third is sex cord stromal tumor, and fourth one is metastasis. Okay, so it is coming from some other organ. Then this among the surface epithelial tumor also, you have 90% of the tumor, okay, which can turn into malignancy. That's why proper diagnosis and proper management at an early stage is very important. Why? 90% of the tumor, it can turn into malignancy, or there is a chance that it may be a malignant tumor. Germ cell tumor, only 3 to 5%, okay, can turn into malignancy or will be malignant tumor. Similarly, only 2 to 3% is malignant if it is arising from sex cord or stromal tumor. Then age group, okay, the surface epithelial tumor, it usually occurs in the adult patient. Patients are usually more than 20 years. In germ cell tumor, it can be young patient or adult patient. It usually, sometimes it can occur in teenager girl also, very young girl. And sex cord stromal, it can occur in all age, even infants, even 1 or 2 year old female are also affected with thecoma and fibrothecoma, okay, sometimes. And even the old age female are also affected. So the types, let's not go into the type. These are the similar types which we discuss under WHO classification. Okay, so you just have to remember that you have the tumor either arising from the surface epithelial cells, okay, or are from germ cells or from the sex cord and stromal cells. Serous tumor. Okay, so we talked about the three types of serous tumor: benign, borderline, and malignant. So This serous cyst adenoma and mucinous cyst adenoma is very important from the practical point of view. Okay, slides and both the gross specimen will be there, so we will briefly discuss about this. Okay, the more detailing will be done in the practical classes. So, serous cyst adenoma, these are the cystic neoplasm. Name itself says cyst, right? So, cystic neoplasm, they are lined by tall, columnar, ciliated, and non ciliated epithelial cells. Okay, so these columnar cells, they can be either ciliated, okay, they can have cilia or no cilia, and they are filled with clear serous fluid. And you have benign, borderline, and malignant types, which accounts for almost 30% of the ovarian tumors. Okay. However, it comprises 50% of the ovarian epithelial tumors. Overall, ovarian tumors my हेर्ने हो भने कति भयो 30% यसको incidence. Among the epithelial also 50%. Okay, so quite common. And out of all the epithelial tumors, serous epithelial tumor is very common. Like sometimes so many times this uterus and ovaries are taken out and by surgical removal for some other reason, and we get lot of these cases of serous cyst adenoma, incidental finding. Okay, so if it is small in size, it usually does not hamper anything with the health, with the clinical symptoms. And then 70% of these serous tumor, they are benign or borderline, and only 30% cases are malignant. These benign and borderline tumors, they are most commonly seen between the age group 20 to 45 years. That is in the adult patient. Okay, if you want to know about the molecular pathogenesis, there are certain risk factors associated with the development of ovarian tumor as a whole. Okay, so some of the risk factors associated with this are nulliparity. What is nulliparity? Less parents, okay, giving birth to the only few children. Like if there is only 0 to 1 parity, okay. So those females, they are at a high risk of developing this ovarian tumors. Okay, family history, like if it runs in the family, if somebody's mother, sister, they are affected, they will be at a high. And heritable mutation, it plays a role in the tumor development. So, though ovarian tumors, I say it's very common among the nulliparous women, these carcinomas are very common in the low parity. Okay, so that fertility parity is also very important to reduce the number of ovarian cancer and the tumors. When you talk about the genetic factor, the mutation usually it occurs in BRCA1, breast carcinoma ko jastै BRCA1 and BRCA2. So when mutation occurs in these two genes, that will increase the risk factor, increase the susceptibility to develop this ovarian carcinoma. So how do they look, the serous cyst adenoma? Okay, it appears very cystic lesion with intracystic papillary projection. So they can have a papillary projection, and these projection, they are projecting from the ovarian surface. Otherwise, if you see it from outside, the outer surface looks very smooth. It looks very glistening. Okay, and there will be no epithelial thickening. The wall is not very much thickened, and there will be no papillary projection in the external surface. So when you cut it open, okay, when you cut the cystic, let's say mass, okay, what you can see is the mass is filled with the fluid, clear color fluid, and in the wall you can see that the papillae will be in not all, in few papillae will be arising from the wall of the cyst. Okay, serous cyst adenoma is usually bilateral. So first picture you can see it is a serous cyst adenoma. It is very smooth, glistening. You can see few blood vessels congested. These blood vessels you can see. So this is the outer surface. It looks like a balloon filled with water. right? So this is the cut section. When you cut it open, okay, a fluid is already thrown out, so it will be filled with clear watery fluid, and it will have either a single cavity or multi cavities. Okay, so you can see two cavities. This is the normal component of the ovarian tissue, the upper part. This is all the cystic component. Okay, so these are the thicker wall, thicker portion of the wall. Otherwise, most of the wall, okay, it has a very thin consistency. It's not very thick. So microscopic examination of these serous cyst adenoma, what you see is that the cystic wall is lined by columnar epithelium. They are tall columnar cells. They can have either cilia or no cilia. And you can see sometimes if you do not see papillae with your naked eye in the gross, sometimes you can see the papillae under the microscope. Okay. So if there is no atypia, no malignancy, there is nothing to worry. Seeing papilla is not a worrisome problem, uh, unless and until it is not lined by atypical cells. Okay. So so sometimes in gross it might look just the serous cyst adenoma, but in microscopy the architecture might be complex. Architecture अलिकति डरलाग्दो देख्छ, complex, like you can see more complexity of the papillae. Okay, papillae will be a bit large in size. Papillae will be fused. You can see the stratification of the epithelial cells and mild nuclear atypia like nuclear enlargement, prominent nucleoli, and all. In that case, it could be a case of borderline tumors. Okay, there is no infiltration in the stroma. Okay, if there is infiltration, it will be malignant. Okay, there is no infiltration, but if there is a bit of complex architecture within the papillae and the lining epithelium, it can be that the tumor could be this one, the borderline serous cyst adenoma. So here a very simple epithelial lining you can see in serous cyst adenoma. Okay, very thin lining will be seen. This whole thing is the wall. This is the ovarian stroma. Okay, so this lining is the columnar cells lining, which you can see in serous cyst adenoma. Here it is more papillae you are seeing. Okay, so if these papillae, these are the papillary structure. So if you see more complex picture under the microscope, and if you see atypia, then it can be designated as a borderline tumor. So that was about the serous cyst adenoma. Now coming to mucinous cyst adenoma. Mucin. So you might have heard about the mucin. Again, it is a mucinous secretion, right? So most often most of the time this mucinous secretion you get in the GIT tumors, okay, pancreatic tumor and all. These mucinous tumors of the ovary are less common compared to the serous tumors, and it accounts for about 30% of all the ovarian neoplasm. The age group for this tumor is middle adulthood, and it is rare before puberty and after menopause. Okay, so here see 80% of the cases are benign and 15% cases are usually malignant. Talking about the molecular pathogenesis, like serous tumor, very little knowledge is there regarding this molecular pathogenesis because no such this chromosomal abnormality has been identified. Okay, in these patients suffering from ovarian tumor, so just the normal chromosome, female chromosome, has been identified, and certainly they have been explaining about the different risk factors just like the nulliparity and all. Here they describes about the risk factor like smoking in association with this mucinous tumor. Okay. Another one is genetic mutation, that is mutation in the KRAS. It's common in benign mucinous cyst adenoma and mucinous borderline tumor, and almost in 85% of the ovarian mucinous carcinoma. So benign and borderline, we hardly used to go for all the genetic mutation and all. So what you can say is in most of the mucinous carcinoma of the ovary, you can see this KRAS mutation. Okay. And apart from nulliparity, what is the risk factor? Smoking is the risk factor here. So morphology, gross, what do you see? Again, you can see a cystic mass or cystic lesion, okay, ovarian cyst. And again, they are the surface epithelium, our external surface looks normal. There are usually no changes. It looks smooth, and it is usually unilateral. The involvement is usually unilateral. You see only 5% of the cases in as bilateral. Okay. However, serous tumors, they were most commonly they were bilateral. And these mucinous tumors, they tend to produce a very large cystic mass. Sometimes it is more than 25 kg. A single ovarian tumor, okay, weighing more than 25 kg. So many times news or man, did they use it in the news? You must have seen, no? A big ovarian cyst is removed, weighing about 30 kg, 40 kg. So most often, see, it can be more than 20, 25 kgs. And when you cut open the cyst, okay, generally what you see in serous tumor, it is a single cavity, okay. But in case of mucinous tumor, it is multi cavity, okay. You can see numerous cavities, okay. So it is multi-loculated cystic tumor, and it is filled with mucinous fluid. So mucinous fluid is very slippery, sticky, isn't it? It is very sticky, gelatinous fluid, and this fluid is rich in glycoprotein. So this is the mucinous cystadenoma. Many cavities is varying size. This cavity you can see, okay. And since it is rich in glycoprotein, sometime it will be very easy to go for spatial stain, as they will take up the stain, positive stain with the this special stain. So these benign mucinous tumors, they are characterized by lining of the tall columnar epithelial cells. Okay, and in these tall columnar cells, the nuclei are basally placed. Okay, and the upper portion of all the columnar cells, they are filled with this mucin, apical mucin. Okay, and there will be absence of cilia. So how to differentiate between serous cyst and mucinous cyst? Okay, grossly you can differentiate when you cut open the cyst, like looking at the fluid, okay, and looking at the wall or cavity of the cyst. Then microscopically, both are lined by columnar cells, but in this will be tall columnar cells, okay, and the nuclei of these epithelial cells, they are basally placed, and the upper portion of the columnar cells, they are filled with mucin, apical mucin, and there will be absence of cilia in mucinous tumor. So very clearly you can see this is the mucinous tumor, tall columnar cells. Here you can see basally placed nuclei, okay, and this upper portion is all the mucin content. So when you stain with past stain and all, they will take up the stain. Okay, this mucin material, they will take up the stain. So, so that is about the mucinous cystadenoma. And since this mucinous cystadenoma, they can enlarge and go beyond this 20-25 kg. Many times this can rupture also. Okay. Here you can see very clearly in this high power, these are basally placed nuclei. And these are the apical mucin. Okay. So as I told you, if it enlarges and if it goes beyond 20-25 kg, it can rupture and it can produce a complication which is called as pseudomyxoma peritonei. What it is called as? Pseudomyxoma peritonei. That means the fluid, the mucinous fluid, it gets spilled over the peritoneal cavity. Okay, so it is a clinical condition which is defined by extensive mucinous ascites. So ascites means it's the collection of the fluid in the this peritoneal cavity, but here it is extensive mucinous ascites, or it can be cystic epithelial implant. Even you can see the epithelial tissue component apart from the this ascites on the peritoneal surfaces and adhesion. Okay, I repeat, what is pseudomyxoma peritonei? It is a clinical condition defined by extensive mucinous ascites, cystic epithelial implants on the peritoneal surfaces and adhesions. Okay, frequently the main cause for this one is mucinous tumor involving the ovaries. Okay, most often it is the mucinous tumor of the ovary that ruptures or and that get into the peritoneal cavity, but other mucinous tumors are also involved, like it can be tumor from the GI or appendix. Okay, so if there is mucinous tumor of the appendix of or GI, they can also get into the peritoneal surface and they can form the mucinous ascites. If it is very extensive, it may result in intestinal obstruction and even death of the patient. So mortality rate is very high. And it is considered as a very bad this complication of mucinous tumor. And if not treated at the right time, the prognosis is usually very poor. Okay, usually patient को के हुन्छ छिटो treat गरेन भने mortality is very high and patient can die. So this is one of the very important complication of mucinous tumor, that also mucinous ovarian tumor. And this definitely, if they ask you about mucinous tumor, ovarian tumor, they are definitely going to ask you about this pseudomyxoma peritonei in the exam. Okay, so I think I'll end here only for today. And so tomorrow I'll be talking about the different other type of tumors. I'll talk about the teratoma, dysarthrioma, and very briefly about Krukenberg tumor. Okay, it won't be a very long class. But before proceeding for tomorrow's class, what I want you to please read and come. Okay, so that it's easy for you to understand. Okay. Not tomorrow. I think Koile said Tuesday, not tomorrow. It's on Tuesday. Okay, same time, 1:45. So shall I log off? Okay, thank you.